Finding slope given the graph of a line on a grid. All right, so it says find the slope of the line graphed below, and it gives you the coordinates on a graph. So they give you this option. Let me grab my board here. So they give you the option of using slope, which is rise over run, which means that you subtract the y's from, and then subtract the x's on the bottom. So this is also sometimes written as the change in y and the change in x. I've seen this written sometimes depending on which program you're using or where you look it up. This delta symbol just means the change in, meaning subtract. So we're just subtracting the y's and we're subtracting the x's. So if I know the two coordinates, so they show me down below in the example that the first coordinate is -2, -2, and I can count that on the grid. So I can come over here and I have to go 1, 2 to the left, and then I have to go 1, 2 down, so that's 2, 2. And then this one I have to come over to 4 and all the way down to 5. So I know the second coordinate is 4, -5. So when I want to know what x2 and x1 are, or what that means, they're always labeled xy. This is point 1, so we say it's x1 and y1. This is point 2, so this is 2, x2 and y2. So that's all x, these y2 minus y1. It's just showing you this is point 2, this is point 1. All it means. So then you just go through and you plug it in to this formula here. So if I want y2, I just say, well, here's y2. I want the number right underneath it. And then y1, so minus, it's always a minus in here. And I'm even going to change this to a different color. This minus is always here. So that's what this minus is right here. I have to switch it back to my same color here. So then underneath y1, I have -2. The reason I'm making that very clear is it's minus negative. So I don't want you to just go 5 minus -2. It's -5 minus -2. So what happens when we have two negatives like that, a double negative right in a row? It becomes a plus sign. All right, so I'm going to keep writing. So then under x2, we have 4, and then minus, so I'm putting that in red just so that you remember that minus is always there. And then under x1, we have -2 again. So again, that becomes a plus. Minus negative is a double negative. Two negatives one right after the other becomes a plus sign. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this. So we have -5 plus 2. They're opposites, which means we subtract. And the bigger number decides the sign. Since 5 is bigger than 2, my answer is negative because 5 is negative and it's bigger. All right, on the bottom, I have 4 plus 2. So that one's just easy. We just go ahead and add that because they're both positive numbers. All right, now we have to make sure we reduce this. So we go divided by 3, divided by 3, because I know that both of these numbers can divide by 3. So I end up with -1. -3 divided by 3 is -1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So if I scroll down here, we can see that this is -1/2. Because they're giving you a grid, and I do like this view of it, you can also just count it. If I start at this point here, and I count over, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I had to run 6. So if you notice, we got 6 for our run. Run is the bottom. Whoops, I did not mean to grab the paper and move it like that. All right, it's going to be a little crooked for a minute. So the next one for rise, which is the top, is rise means either go up or down. I know rise generally we think it means go up, but rise is just a reminder that the top is whether you go up or down. So you go 1, 2, 3. So look at that. We went down 3, so it's -3. So we can get this -3, 6 right from the graph without having to plug it in. Can I? sorry, I'm trying to fix what I did a second ago there. Nope. That is not what I wanted to do. Let's see. There we go. Close enough anyway there. All right, let's close that. And let's go back to this. So the other way I do it too, because I always, whenever we have coordinates, I tend to do this method where instead of sticking it in the formula, I stack them like this. Oops, that is a 5. And I go like this, and I subtract straight down. So I go -2 minus 4. You need to make sure you give this minus to each number here, or this won't work. So -2 minus 4, I end up with -6. And then -2 minus -5. So remember, this actually ends up a positive minus negative. So I end up with a positive 5. So -2 plus 5 is 3. So the only thing with this one is the negative got switched. So now I have a positive 3 and a -6. That's okay. The only thing with this one is you do have to remember that this is run and this is rise. So this is the run column. This is the rise column. So when I put this in rise over run, I'm going to put 3 over -6, still reduces to 1 and -2. This is the exact same answer. It doesn't matter where the negative is. So I can write it like this. You can actually even write it like this, where the negative is in between and it doesn't really belong to the top or the bottom. But as long as there's only one negative, it's still the same answer. So -1/2 or -1/2 or 1 over -2. It all means the exact same thing. So I'll show you a little bit more what I mean by stacking these. But for whatever reason, this makes a little bit more sense in my head. It lines up the X's, it lines up the Y's. You don't necessarily have to worry about which one's Y1, Y2. It just lines them up for you. All right, so let me see. There we go. I needed to get my pen tool back because I need to erase. All right, I'm going to erase really quick. Oh, you know what? I don't want to erase all of this. I only want to erase some of it because I don't want to have to rewrite my equation each and every time. Okay, so let's go ahead and click start. All right, so for this one, so we can practice this too, where we should know what our rise and run are going to be. So if I try to count from here to here, I first have to, I'm going to rise first. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. So to be on kind of the same line as this one, I have to go up 3, which means I rose. Whoops, gotta click on my pen, don't I? I rose 3. And then from there, I have to go 1, 2, 3. So I have to run 3 to the right. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So my slope on this is actually 1 over 1, or just 1. And if I do the math on this one, I will get the same answer. So let's go ahead and do the math really quick. So we have 1, 2. I'm just getting my coordinates real quick. So I have -2 and -1 for this first coordinate because I have to go over 2 and down 1. And then for the second coordinate, I have to go over 1 and up 2. Over by, go right 1 and up 2. I should have said it that way. Right 1 means +1, up 2 means +2. All right. So now I'm going to subtract. Remember, this is run, this is rise. These are my X's, these are my Y's. So they're just already lined up for me. I don't have to worry about X1 and X2 and Y1 and Y2. It's lined up for me. So -2 minus 1. Remember, you have to give the minus to the 1 or it doesn't work. So we end up with -3. And then we have -1 minus 2. So we end up with -3. Remember, they're both the same sign. So we have -2 minus 1. They're both negative. I add them together and keep the negative sign. -1 minus 2 for the second one. Again, they're both negative. And I know this says -2, but it still means the same thing. We wouldn't say -1, -2. In a sentence, you say -2 minus 2, but minus really means that it's a negative number now. So they're both negative. I combine and I keep that negative sign. So we get -3 and -3. So it's okay that we got +3 and +3 here, because when I put this into my rise over run, so remember rise is the first column, run is the second column. So now I have -3, -3, two negatives when I'm doing division, and that's what a fraction means. So this fraction bar tells you it's division. Two negatives make a positive. So these will actually become positive because there's two of them. 3 divided by 3 becomes 1 again. So our answer is 1. Check. Ta-da! All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. I'll go ahead and plug the next one in just so that you can see it again plugged into the formula. And you can kind of decide which method you like best there. All right, so with this, the formula, what I need are the coordinates. So I'm going to go to this first one. I'm going to go right 1, and then I have to go up 4. So my coordinate is right 1, up 4. First one for x, remember this is always right or left. The second number is up or down. So my second coordinate, I have to go right 4 and down 2. So I have to go right 4, down 2. So it's 4, -2. All right, so we're going to go ahead and plug it into this formula here. So we have y, started writing y, I wanted to write it here, x, y, and since this is the first point I come to, I'm just going to label it point 1, and this is point 2. Doesn't really matter which one is point 1 and point 2. You decide, and then both the points in it have to be 1 and 1, and then both the points in the other one have to be 2 and 2. So I can't have x1, y2. That doesn't work. If this is x1, this is y1. If this is x2, this is y2. All right, so let's go ahead and plug it in. So we have y2. We're going to go down. Right below it, we have -2. I'm going to put this minus sign in red here so you remember it is red. And then we have y1, so that is 4. So we have -2 minus 4 over, now we're going to go to x2. So we come here and we have 4 minus, I was going to say -1, but it's just 1. All right, so now we go through here and we have -2 minus 4. Remember, minus is just the way we say it in the sentence, but it really means that the 4 is negative now. So they're both negative, and we add them together and keep the negative sign. The two negatives make a positive is only for multiplication and division. It is not for addition and subtraction. I do have some students mix that up every once in a while. So because this is technically, we can think of this as like an addition problem. So there's a plus sign in between here. It's -2 plus -4. Or you can think of it as a subtraction, -2 minus 4. That's perfectly fine. But you're not multiplying 2 and 4. So you're not going to have two positives make a negative, or I'm sorry, two negatives make a positive in this case. So you just combine them and you get -6. 4 minus 1. So we're just going to subtract those like we normally would. And now we're going to go -6 divided by 3, and we get -2. So there's only one negative, so I know my answer will be negative. And we just say 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right, so let's go ahead and check that, and we get -2. Check. Yay! All right, one more of these. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my method here just because I really prefer stacking them. So my first slope is 0, -2. Because I don't have to go right or left. I just have to go straight down to 2. So that means 0 because I'm not going right or left. And then the second number is -2 to tell me I have to go down to -2. The second one, I have to go over to the right 2, and I have to go up 2. So I know my second point is 2, 2. So right 2, up 2. And then I'm going to subtract. So I have 0 minus 2. So that's -2. Remember, the minus now belongs to the 2, it makes it negative basically. So negative 2 minus 2, again, it's making this second 2 a negative 2. So that means negative 2 minus 2, they both have a negative sign. So I combine and keep the negative sign. This is run because it's the x's. This is rise because it's the y's. So all I have to do is put it in rise over run. So I have negative 4 over negative 2. This is where the two negatives make a positive come in because I have a division sign. I am dividing these two numbers. So because I'm dividing the two numbers and they're both negative, they become positive. Now I can go 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I get 2 and click check. And yay, we're all done with that one.